say the second paragraph and the third paragraph do not refer to that correspondence unless you are suggesting the minister must have had a telephone call with Mr. Adams, and that's why he's able to talk about these dockets, the content of these dockets. And I suspect that's not what you want to say. Because the next question would be, how do you know they had a conversation about the dockets and what's contained in the dockets? So let's read the letter sensibly. Paragraph 1 says, I attach a copy of the correspondence received from Mr. Adams. That's what it says.
Yes.
And then paragraph 2 says, the allegations contained therein implicate serious members of the South African police. I want to say to you that a sensible reading of this first paragraph and the second paragraph is the contained therein refers or must refer to the attached correspondence. That is a sensible reading. Otherwise, why does he mention that letter to you?
That is correct.
Yes. So your reading of it to say, well, when he talks about implicating senior officers and containing sensitive matter, he's referring to what is contained in the dockets. It doesn't work. It's not a sensible way of reading this letter. But more importantly and seriously, it works only if you say that the minister must have had a conversation with Mr. Adams about these dockets to know that matter contained therein in those dockets is sensitive and it implicates senior police officers. And who are those senior police officers? You agree with me? You must agree with me.
I agree with the reading of a copy of a written correspondence which would have set out those serious allegations as contained.
Yes.
And therefore the reference to the dockets, because he refers to the dockets.
Yes.
But that the written correspondence would have set out these serious allegations.
Yes, that's the only way it works. Thank you.
And for that, you would have to go to page 283 of the same bundle. 283.
That is the correspondence we suggested was attached to the minister's
The serious
letter.
allegations implicating senior officers are contained there because...
Apologies, Commissioner. MK15, please go to MK15.
I am there.
And then to page 283.
I am.
Thank you.
So that email of 1 November 2024 at 8:21, that is the correspondence addressed to the minister. And the docket numbers are there. And then allegation 2 is that I was told the dockets were intercepted. And then he says, I traveled to Johannesburg, Orlando, opened new dockets you see there. Then he implicates senior officers because he then says they interfered in the investigative process. And he was notified that Gauteng is following the same process. And the request to the minister is, I urgently and humbly ask the minister to intervene to ensure the integrity of the investigative process is maintained. So this is the request that gives rise to the referral to IDEC. And that was Advocate Sillo's point, that the referral to IDEC was about these allegations implicating senior officers, not for IDEC to go take over the dockets that were opened in Orlando and the Western Cape and investigate those underlying allegations in those dockets. So having seen this, you can now go back to the letter and then respond. Sorry, having seen this, you can now go back to the letter. It's on 310 and respond to Advocate Sillo's question.
I still maintain that although you have that email, this letter tells you referral and request for investigation in terms of Section 27. It does talk to copy of written correspondence to the minister by Fadil Adams, and therein are serious allegations. And due to the nature of these allegations, they are referring then to the allegations as he makes out in his written correspondence, which must almost invariably, it would seem, refer to the dockets. That is my reading, Commissioner. I'm not saying that it cannot be read differently. I'm saying that is my reading. And I can't take it further than that is my reading of the title, what is referred to, and what subsequently happened.
And you insist on that reading, notwithstanding the fact that it belies any logical form of interpretation, but you insist on that wording, on that interpretation.
I believe that the interpretation is logical.
Okay. Now, under which case number or inquiry number did IDEC investigate the claim of interception? That's the original claim by Mr. Adams. That is the complaint that the minister purported to refer to IDEC.
So in the communications with Mr. Adams, he was asked for his section 27.
I'm asking under which case number or inquiry number?
It would all have been under the one inquiry under which the section 27 came. There wasn't a separate inquiry for an interception or a separate inquiry for something else. When the 27 came in, if I may, Counsel, when the 27 came in, it was given a reference number.
Yes.
And all those matters that flow from whatever the allegations are, including in the 27, where he says in one of the paragraphs that the dockets were intercepted or the dockets were taken for reasons that are not explained. They form part of his complaint.
Yes.
All one complaint.
Yes. I'm interested in the investigation into the interception because I did not see it in the docket, what we call the Mukwele matter. I didn't see that particular investigation in the docket, and I wanted to find out whether IDEC ever pursued that complaint, that specific complaint of interception of Mr. Adams's dockets, or whether it concentrated more on that part of the Section 27 referral that, as I suggest, was initiated by IDEC.
When the referral had come in, we had to find out where these dockets are. That was part of that exercise. In order to locate the dockets, to determine whether these dockets had in fact been intercepted and were no longer where they were. To that end, Counsel, what we did is we wrote, because his last reference is, I opened dockets in Gauteng. A letter was written to the Provincial Commissioner Detectives, Major General Kumalo, requesting the dockets.
I'm sorry to interject. Do you possibly have a date for that letter immediately at hand?
Will you please give me a moment? It should have been in that would have been the 6th of December.
Okay.
I speak under correction, but in all likelihood, it is the 6th. Sorry, I made a small note, 6th of December.
And did you receive a response while we are on that point? Did you receive a response, and if so, when?
General Kumalo, and sorry, this is a different
Yes.
Kumalo, not General Dumisani Kumalo. The PC for detectives indicated that he knew about these dockets, but that these dockets were not with him. He was going to tell us where to find those dockets. In the interim, he then indicated that the dockets could be with the DPCI. When we contacted the DPCI, these dockets were not with them. And in that process, one of the investigators found out that the dockets actually where would the SAPS inspectorate, more so the head of the inspectorate, General Peter Jacobs,
And when was this discovery?
all on the 6th.
All on the 6th?
All on the 6th, because we're looking for the dockets. He's saying the dockets are missing.
Do you know how he discovered that, by any chance?
I know that the investigator indicated that he received information. I don't have the detail of the information, but he received information that the docket is with the head of the inspectorate, Lieutenant General Peter Jacobs.
Going back to your team, we had quite a number of investigators there that you identified. Which particular
It
investigator
would
is
have
this?
been Mr. Rapesu.
Okay. We got a bit sidetracked. Remember, going back to the letter from the ministry regarding interception, I wanted to find out that the case of interception of the specific dockets listed there, where did that investigation end?
The dockets were found on that day.
Yes,
Should
but
that
you are...
not have been the end of your inquiry then?
No.
I mean, his complaint, remember his complaint is that dockets have been intercepted. That's what his emails are about.
Yes.
He's not making the allegations that you later find in the section 27 that you have accepted, you solicited. So we're still at the earlier stages where you get a complaint that dockets have been intercepted. You are telling us that you then inquired and in fact found that they are accounted for
Yes.
in the subs system.
Yes.
You get told that. Isn't that the end of his complaint? And shouldn't that have been the end of the complaint?
Commissioner Kumalo, that was one part of
I'm still Commissioner Baloy.
Sorry. He looks and smiles there the entire time. And so one invariably, I do apologize, looks at him. Please don't frown, sir.
Have to change because clearly that's a problem.
It is the one thing that gives comfort when you sit here as a witness is a smiling face. And we digress, and I apologize. It couldn't stop there because we now need to see what's in these dockets, because here's an allegation that Adams is saying there are serious allegations I am making. They are contained in these dockets, but beyond the dockets, I have an issue because these dockets are missing. He does say so in the 27. So once we determine, counsel, that the dockets are with the inspectorate, we cannot ask the inspectorate for the dockets. And I'll tell you why I say that. It's out of just normal practice.
No, just hold on your explanation.
Sorry, Commissioner Baloy.
My question is pre the 27. We are still, the 27th is in November. Okay, now carry on. I do apologize.
Sorry, we get the section 27 on the 21st of November. That allows us to be able to look for what the allegations allude to. In order for us to have access to the dockets, police will not give IDEC dockets if IDEC does not have an investigation. On the 6th of December, we, having had the Section 27 since the 21st of November, the prosecutor, Advocate Ramsamy, is able to submit a Section 2813 application, which initiates an investigation. It is on that basis, commissioners, that we are able to write now to the head of detectives, because ordinarily the custodians of the dockets, especially under investigation, are the detectives. We write to the head of detectives indicating that IDEC has initiated an investigation, and the investigation requires that we have access to these dockets.
Perhaps this might be the appropriate point to turn to the referral affidavit itself. But I do so momentarily for purposes of the complaint of interception. That would be at your file 2, page 512. That will run till 516. If we just run ahead to page 516, you confirm that is it's signed above the name F. Adams. Okay, Adams is misspelled, but I take it to be F. Adams MP, dated the 21st of November 24 in Cape Town, and commissioned by a Commissioner of Oaths, as indicated. You confirm that?
I confirm I see that.
The conversation we're having, if we go back to paragraph 1, paragraph 1 reads as follows. In my capacity as a Member of Parliament for the Republic of South Africa, I first opened 3 cases in Cape Town Police Station with case numbers Cape Town, and they are stated. After I opened these cases, I take it I was informed that the cases were taken from the Cape Town Police Station to the Office of the Provincial Commissioner, Western Cape. I do not trust the Provincial Commissioner General particularly, and believe that a deliberate attempt is taking place to get rid of the cases I had reported and to protect those against whom I made the cases. End of quote. That is the investigation I'm asking about. Did you ever investigate the claims against General particular? That is the interception. And I still don't understand whether or not you investigated that, you being IDEC, or you didn't. And if you investigated, were you ever landed?
In all honesty, Council, I cannot tell you that there was a separate investigation about that interception.
Yes.
I know that we sought to find those dockets, and we then, in fact, found those dockets.
Your finding of the dockets surely doesn't address the complaint of interception?
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is there must be an investigation. I can come back to you with a reference to an investigation. But I know that at the time, the purpose was to first find these dockets, which we in fact did, and to then determine what the allegations are in those dockets. Do they talk to the 27, and what is the way forward?
Okay, so
would there be an investigation in your office that you don't know about? Because your answer suggests that your people may well be conducting investigations that you're not aware of.
Not that I won't know of an investigation, but when you have matters of this nature, Commissioner Baloy, they divide the matters up into different legs of investigation so that they can deal with them differently. I may not be aware of a specific leg of investigation, but I am aware that there is an investigation or investigations arising out of the Section 27.
So you would expect?
I would expect.
And we should expect that when you come back to us after lunch, you will tell us there is an investigation into this interception. This is the team that is dealing with that, and it is being done under case number so-and-so. It's information that you should be able to get. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. So then just to recap where we are at, we know that we started with email communication by Mr. Adams to the Office of the Minister. The Minister then directed the letter, dated the Minister's office, directed the letter dated the 11th of November 2024 to yourself. And we know that subsequent to that, you directed Mr. Perumal to obtain an affidavit from Mr. Adams. We are in agreement there. Okay, where did I lose you?
Sorry, correction on the last part. Or let's leave it at that. I think it's semantics. It's okay. I'm not going to fight about the semantics. Sorry, Chair.
Then having done so, and the issue at the time was interception of the dockets. A claim by Mr. Adams. It was the interception of the dockets. What we don't have before us is a file on the investigation regarding that particular complaint. What we then have instead is what we have come to call the Mukwele matter, which then is born of claims advanced by Mr. Adams at the instance of IDEC, as reflected in the Section 27 affidavit. Do you agree with me thus far?
Yes, and that we miss a matter before the Mukwele matter, which was the Lushaba matter. That was the first matter that was dealt with. And then it was the Mukwele matter.
Okay.
I just didn't want us to miss that.
I'm not sure I understand, because in this complaint we are going to come across the Lushaba matter.
Yes, and
now, is that a separate investigation?
that was dealt with. So what the prosecutors did.
Let me just say something to I guess, clear the cobwebs in my head. I want to determine how many separate investigations there are. My first was that the first investigation would at least have involved an investigation into the conduct of General Petekile as set out in paragraph 1. That you say you'll check on the file regarding that investigation. The second is the Mukwele matter, quote unquote. It's unfortunate we have to use her name in that manner, but it's the quickest way of making reference without confusing each other. Now you're suggesting that there is a third investigation on the Lushaba matter.
When the prosecutors got the Section 27 referral counsel, they broke it up as follows. Started with the General Lushaba matter.
Yes.
That's the first matter. The Mukwele matter being...
Apologies, just a second, thanks. Thank you. You may continue.
Thank you, Commissioners. So when the matters were broken up, and I think they were broken up, as the prosecutor explained, in terms of the different categories of offenses. If you took them all as one, we would have had a lot of issues, from misjoinder to 10 people standing in the dock, one facing one count of something and someone facing 10 of the other, and it would have been a mismatch. So they took it in terms of the allegations and grouped them accordingly. In terms of what happened in the sequence would have been, as they identified, the housebreaking incident of General Lushaba. That was the first investigation. That was the first matter, counsel, that was enrolled. Thereafter, it was the Mukwele matter. There is then a third investigation. That is the one for which the warrants were held over, just for context, in terms of Lieutenant General Kumalo and General Madondo. And then there are other matters that also emanate from this complaint.
How many other matters?
There are, I know, for 4, 5, there would be 6.
6 other matters.
6 other matters.
And you say they all emanate from the Section 27.
That is correct.
Are you able, over the course of the lunch break, I guess, to prepare a list for us of those matters and to indicate whether they are filed, they have different case numbers or inquiry numbers or any other useful reference?
I do know that with the Lushaba matter, it's a separate case.
Yes.
Of course, as is with the Mukwele matter.
Yes.
And that had the other matter been enrolled, it would have also had its own case.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why I say it might possibly be a case number or an inquiry number, just so we know which we are pursuing. Now that we have started with the Section 27 referral, let's for a moment go back to Section 27 of the NPA Act.
Before you do that, can I just check that the attorneys have given you a copy, because I saw that you were struggling can they just make sure that they give you the copy of the act?
Apologies, I'd assume the witness perhaps was...
I do, I'll keep this one here. I think
Yeah,
I do
she's
have
got her
one,
own version,
and,
yes.
out of habit,
I noticed that when Chair was engaging you, you were struggling finding.
I think it's because I had too many documents on my table, Commissioner Kumalo.
So we took the extra effort to ask the attorneys to make a copy and put it in a file.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And then
Commissioner.
I'm going to be respectful and use the file that was made available. Thank you.
I think so, Advocate Johnson, after all that effort, right?
Yes.
So-
And the few trees that we might have,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. We are now at section 27. And section 27 tells us the affidavit, what the affidavit contemplated therein must contain. Correct? I'm sure it's a section you are well familiar with. You've had a number of
Yes, I
referrals.
just went to the wrong side, sorry. I am there, thank you.
Section 27. So you do agree, sections 27 sub A, sub B, and to some extent sub C, if there should be other relevant information, dictates what the affidavit should contain, section 27 affidavit.
Correct?
What are the consequences where an affidavit lacking in complete compliance with section 27, what would be the consequences insofar as IDEX trigger is concerned?
Where an section 27 affidavit is insufficient for any one of a number of reasons. We ordinarily would ask the complainant to supplement or amplify and indicate what the shortcomings are, which parts are short. If the complainant is unable to amplify any one portion or portions that would then fulfill the requirements of section 27, we then have to indicate that we are unable to take the matter because the matter must fulfill certain requirements.
Okay, thank you. Let's turn then to the section 27 affidavit that we received.
Do you do this, that is a request for a supplement? Do you do that in all instances where an affidavit is lacking in the necessary detail?
Chair, especially where just from a glance, it would seem that they're just missing something and there's a likelihood it falls within the mandate. You ask them, and when they amplify and you say, okay, it still falls short.
Okay,
then
so
we don't.
That's exactly what I wanted to find out. So reading it, you are of the view that it does fall within your mandate, but you just want a supplement on certain specific issues or on a specific issue. But at least it's already there within the realm, as it were.
Correct, Chair.
Meaning, if it's woefully hopeless, you just reject that, correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
Just follow up on that by way of an example or question. So we're looking at 27 and the requirements thereof. If you're given an affidavit that says, I suspect that money is being stolen, that's A. So they've told you the nature of the suspicion. And then they don't tell you the grounds on which the suspicion is based. And whatever else they say in C does not tell you the grounds on which the suspicion is based. There's been a non-compliance with B, right? What do you do?
You would then check if they have a source of information. That
So
is,
you would
what
still
do you
ask
base
them,
it on?
Sorry. So you would, even if they haven't set out grounds in their affidavit, they simply say, I suspect money is being stolen. You're saying you then ask them for a supplementary affidavit?
No, if it's just, I suspect, and there's nothing more to it, then it does not fulfill.
And so,
Because sorry, Commissioner.
yeah, no, Kira,
You have to be mindful of the prodding.
yes.
And trying to elicit something they know they should tell you. Because what does happen is, ordinarily, without saying what you want, we are able to engage a Section 27 referral and indicate these are the requirements. Your affidavit does not make out these requirements. And there and then, in almost most cases, people are able to say, well, I gave you what I have. And that just finishes that part of it.
Thank you.
And when people tell you, I gave you what I have, and there are clearly no grounds in that affidavit, what does IDEC do?
It may be, counsel, that it is insufficient for the purposes of IDEC. Where it has been insufficient for the purposes of IDEC, but we are aware that it could go to the detectives, and or it could go to the DPCI, we write to the referral, or to the referee, I apologize, to indicate, whilst this does not comply with IDEC's mandate, you are able to refer this matter to the detectives. We are writing to, so we do two things. We inform the complainant where they can go to, and then we also write to the agency that we are able to send it to, together with a copy of whatever information might have been received. We have also been able to do that where, for example, it is something that is civil in nature, but falls within the mandate of the SIU. And we would say to them, you might be able to find recourse here with the SIU. So we don't just leave them in the lurch if, in fact, it does make out allegations that are investigated by a different agency. We write to them, we write to the agency, and we send that material as well.
So at least where we land, and I'm testing my understanding of Section 27, there are two main requirements in that section. The affidavit must spell out the suspicion that the referee holds, and then to advance grounds to support every specific suspicion. IDEC has got the power to request maybe substantiation, clarification from the referee, where there are shortcomings with compliance with Section 27. In the event that the suspicions are not substantiated and grounds not advanced by way of example, then IDEC cannot investigate the matter. It would normally refer it to another appropriate law enforcement agency.
Correct, Counsel.
Is that a fair summary? Let's look then at the Section 27 referral received from Mr. Adams. We will work through it in detail, but my summary of it I would like to share with you. What that affidavit, and that's file 2, page 512.
I do have it.
Thank you. That affidavit states the following. It highlights or shares with the reader three key suspicions that Mr. Adams harbors. The first is at paragraph 2. And therein, paragraph 2, it says, it expresses his growing concern that the head of crime intelligence, General Kumalo, General Lushaba, General Madondo, and other senior crime intelligence officers are busy with systematic capture of crime intelligence division. That's his first suspicion.
Counsel, may I ask a question? Am I allowed
Yes,
to make
ma'am.
marks?
Of course.
Am I allowed to write
Yes,
on this document?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
If it's in the witness file, we will just replace it with a fresh copy.
Sorry, Counsel, you say that is the first allegation.
Yeah, first suspicion. Remember that the affidavit actually requires the deponent to state what suspicions that they harbor. The first is there in paragraph 2. On my reading, the second would be at paragraph 4.
Let's take it step by step. Do you agree that that's the first suspicion?
That is the first one.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And paragraph 3, for purposes then of completeness, the deponent speaks to what became clearer to him, how his suspicion became clearer to him, but he adds nothing more. He references an envelope, he says, was slipped under the door of his office in Parliament containing some crime intelligence procurement documents using secret funds of crime intelligence and vetting documents. So he tells you that I have that, but he doesn't share the contents of those. Yes. The second suspicion is reflected in paragraph 4. And on my reading, that speaks to two suspicions. The first being a manipulation of procurement processes and processes to appoint and promote certain persons within crime intelligence. That's at paragraph 4, the first part of paragraph 4. The second part is, calls for the need to investigate appointments at various Secret Service offices. Sorry. Do you agree with me? That's all.
I have that.
At paragraph 5, he expresses a suspicion that some funds are being taken unlawfully from the secret funds account and given to Police Minister Becky Cele. At paragraph 6,
Before you do paragraph 6,
yes,
This paragraph.
paragraph 5, did you consider it to contain two complaints? I mean, there's the first about money being suspected to be given to former Minister Cele, and then it seems to me there's a second leg to it, an allegation that the former minister appointed General Khumalo without an interview process and without Khumalo having worked as a... Did you consider that another suspicion and complaint, or did you not? And I must say before you answer that considering how the Mukwele matter has gone,
Yes.
I expect that
That would have been one of, it's a separate appointment issue.
if you haven't, there has to be an explanation why this was not
No,
investigated.
it is part of other appointments.
Okay, so you will come back to us with the
We will
detail
come
of
back,
it. Thank you.
To you. And may I just pause just to indicate, Commissioners, at the bottom of paragraph 4, it is not separate, but there is reference in the last line, which we had to look at as we go through all of the matters, likely points to launder money. So the money laundering is an aspect to consider when you look at money flows that may run through the course of all of these, and they are not, it's not a standalone matter.
noted.
Sorry, you say that one, and you are referring to the last sentence of 4.
Correct, Chair.
And you say it goes with what?
It would go with 2, which is the manipulating of procurement processes, and then with 5, which Council had pointed out about the taken unlawfully from the secret funds.
Which sentence are you referring to in 2? Sentence or sentences?
Sorry, paragraph 4,
Para 4,
line 2.
line 2. Oh,
Yes, Chair, about the manipulating procurement processes.
okay. All right.
Just to indicate that money laundering is considered, but not as a standalone, just within the ambit of those matters.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
So
When I interrupted council, I think we were.
No, it's okay.
Fine.
Just on the point you've made, it's a suspicion, but couched more in request terms, because he's requesting that you look into these matters, I guess, because there are these Secret Service offices in the country are likely points to money laundering out of crime intelligence. So in that, I can accept that there is a suspicion that there is money laundering, except that he would like IDEC to investigate whether that laundering happens through various Secret Service offices.
Correct.
Okay. Then we agreed that at 5, it's a suspicion about secret funds being given to the former Minister Bekitele.
Yes, ma'am.
6, I don't see a suspicion in 6, so I would skip it for now. We'll come back to 6. The last suspicion that he then highlights is at 7, at page 515. My suspicion is that General Khumalo Lushaba Madondo and many of those who they've appointed are actively siphoning money from the secret fund accounts in the country. I understand that there are about 10 secret fund points in the country where monies can be drawn from, and all of these extraction points need to be investigated. That's another suspicion. At 7.
May I take you back to 6, Councillor?
Yes, ma'am.
That is the Lushaba matter. And therein he has been charged not just with the housebreaking, but with the defeating and obstructing with regards to the loss of the equipment of crime intelligence and the non-disclosure thereof, and the fact that there's secret information contained therein. So what I'm saying is the 6 is the Lushaba matter that is currently in court.
Yes, I'd ask that we skip that because we are trying,
Only the
to distill from
then I
from the
understand.
affidavit what the deponent suspects and what suspicions he has put forward to IDEC. So we have dealt with the suspicion at 7. Then 8 and 9 basically reverts to the dockets he had opened, the 3 cases in Cape Town, and the other 3 in Orlando Police Station. And it ends at 516. So if we at least roughly summarized his suspicions, I can see how he has complied with Section 27A, which is to set out the suspicions of a crime that he complains of. I am missing Part B of that, which requires him to set out the grounds on which the very suspicions that we have referenced are based. Do you find the grounds in this affidavit? Per suspicion.
May I just raise an issue with you, which is a legal question with regard to, you are looking at ABC.
Indeed, Chair.
Okay, that's the nature of, I'm looking at the introductory part of the section itself. If any person has reasonable grounds on which I would not go to ABC without first ensuring that that introductory part has itself been satisfied. And that I would do on the basis that this is an objective test.
Yes.
You and I do not have to rely on what Mr. Adams subjectively thought.
Yes.
So I would start there. Were there reasonable grounds? But anyway, let me leave it.
My approach is slightly different.
So, but I'm just making.
Yes,
the point
I take the point.
I would not get to ABC before, but.
I take the point, Chair, that's an approach, but I decided to adopt a different one. Here is IDEC having solicited an affidavit,
Yes.
receives the affidavit.
Yes.
Before a decision is taken, even for a preliminary investigation, that affidavit must comply with at least ABC.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I conclude that the grounds advanced in terms of B would lead to the conclusion at the start of that, whether they are reasonable grounds. So it's sort of a reverse.
In the end, perhaps it works the same way.
Because I'm trying to test
Yes.
at which point, insofar as IDEC is concerned, a Section 27 referral dies
Yes.
for non-compliance, if ever there is such a point.
No, please go ahead. Ms.
Thank you, Chair.
Shalala.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm now looking at 27B, and my reading of this affidavit is that it's replete with suspicions, but absolutely no grounds to support any of the suspicions advanced. Unless you can find any that perhaps I may have missed. I adopted the approach I did to say, let's summarize and see if we can quantify the suspicions. So let's start with the suspicion at 2, that General Kumalo, Lushaba, Madondo, and other senior crime intelligence officers were busy with the systematic capture of the crime intelligence division. Let's just sit with that one suspicion. Where in this affidavit do I find grounds to support that suspicion, which then would tick A and B of Section 27?
So, first, in paragraph 2, line 1, Commissioners, he says, so the cases he refers to above must refer to what follows. And he says the cases were opened based on information I received from time to time, which places the SAPS crime intelligence, and then it follows. So he receives information from time to time. And he then says in paragraph 3 that that suspicion became even clearer when an envelope pushed under his door at Parliament contained crime intelligence procurement documents using secret funds of crime intelligence and vetting documents. So the grounds on which he bases it is information he receives. Information he receives from time to time, and further expounded by the fact that he has this envelope with further information that is pushed under his door. That is the genesis for the grounds on which his suspicion is based.
But you said he did not give IDEC that information which was slipped under his door.
That is correct.
So that's like saying, I have grounds, but I won't tell you what they are.
May I explain a further process that then happened? And sorry, Counsel, may I?
Absolutely, ma'am. By all means.
Because it might seem to jump the gun, but it will then perhaps provide more clarity. We received the Section 27. We received the dockets. IDEC takes the stance that an engagement has to happen with Mr. Adams because this 27 he did on his own and sent through to us. We have the dockets, but when they had the engagement, having read the dockets, having read the 27, it goes back to what I said. You then engage the person to see if there is other grounds that need to be covered. And further statements, Commissioners, were then taken in the engagements had with him in January of 2025.
I think where we are, Advocate Johnson, is that 27 says these things must be specified in the 27 affidavit. Because if you read 27, it says, by means of an affidavit or a firm declaration specifying ABC. So ABC are to be specified in the affidavit.
Correct.
They are not to be established at a later point. So the entry point is the affidavit which specifies A, B, and C.
And it is for those reasons, Commissioner Kumalo, that I referred to those two paragraphs. That is where I took that from, were opened based on information I received from time to time, and the information placed under his door.
If perhaps you may assist us then. The suspicion is General Khumalo Lushaba and Madondo and others are busy with systematic capture of the Crime Intelligence Division. That's the suspicion. You are satisfied that that affidavit contains grounds to support that suspicion. Can you summarize those grounds for us?
With reference to the affidavit itself, right?
Indeed. Thank you, Commissioner.
On my reading, Counsel,
Yes, ma'am.
that suspicion is, he refers to the suspicion and he proceeds to explain, as he does in paragraph 4.
And what grounds are articulated in paragraph 4?
Says that he suspects that General Khumalo and some senior officers in crime intelligence, including
I apologize. I thought we agreed that paragraph 4 contains other suspicions. I'm still looking for the grounds for the suspicion that Khumalo et al. Are busy with systematic capture of crime intelligence. Where are the grounds for that? The manipulation of procurement processes and processes to appoint is another suspicion. It's a different one.
Yes, and I'm saying that it is based on, I don't read it to mean that every single suspicion is supposed to have a ground. If my reading is incorrect,
No,
I'm saying that is how I read it. I read it as I received information from time to time. From that information I received from time to time, there are all of these allegations, inclusive of the documents under my door.
Okay. You wanted to invoke paragraph 4 to establish the grounds. Remember, we still have to comply with section 27B.
Yes.
So we're going to have to at least find the grounds for the suspicion reflected in paragraph 2. You say those grounds lie in paragraph 4. And if you could just summarize them quickly for us. And simply because my reading of paragraph 4 is slightly different, but I'll take your perspective.
So the suspicion of the systemic capture lies in his suspicions in paragraph 4, in terms of, he refers to the procurement, manipulation, for lack of a better description, manipulation of appointment processes, bypassing of the vetting. Those are the ones that talk to the systemic capture of the Crime Intelligence Division.
He's not, in paragraph 4, and what you're referring to now, he's not giving you facts that support his suspicion, because that's what 27B requires, the basis for his suspicion. What he does in 4, on its terms, he says, I suspect, that which you're referring to now, he says, I suspect that General Khumalo and other senior officers in crime intelligence, including Madondo and Lushaba, were manipulating procurement processes and processes to appoint and promote certain members to higher positions. So it's a suspicion. So you can't say, when we ask you that, okay, he's made the suspicion to you, so let's say he complies with A, what are the grounds that he has stated in his affidavit in support of that suspicion? You can't say where he states manipulating processes, procurement processes and processes to appoint, and then you say those are the grounds. That's faulty reasoning. It is a suspicion on his terms. It is. He tells you, that's what I suspect. The question to you is, where in the affidavit did you find that he has put down grounds for that suspicion?
On my reading, Commissioner Baloy, it is found for those ones on paragraph 3, where he said, my suspicion about General Kumalo and others became more clearer when I found an envelope pushed under my office door at Parliament, which contained some crime intelligence procurement documents using secret funds of crime intelligence and vetting documents. I can take it no further than that is my reading of where he finds these suspicions.
Factual conclusion after factual conclusion, Advocate Johnson, can never give you the facts that undergird those factual conclusions. All of the things you are addressing now are themselves factual conclusions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
If you could just take
those
me back
are factual conclusions. Let me
Yes.
give you, let me give you agree. Do you agree?
I understand.
Those are factual conclusions. Do you agree?
I agree.
So, if we go back to Ms. Sildo's question, she wants to understand what that factual substratum is. What facts do you rely on to say those factual conclusions, and you now accept that they are factual conclusions? What facts underlie those conclusions to lead to the fact that B of 27 is satisfied? On what basis? It cannot be on the conclusions. Let me give you an example. If someone says, I suspect that Tom and Dick killed Harry, that's a conclusion. For you to be satisfied that there is a reasonable suspicion that Tom and Dick killed Harry, there must be some substantiation before you say Tom and Dick killed Harry. Do you get me?
I understand. you.
Otherwise, it's a factual conclusion to say that Tom and Harry killed Dick. And I suggest to you that this is exactly what you are doing. You are relying on factual conclusions to say that B of section 27 has been satisfied. Do you agree?
I agree.
You accept that proposition?
I accept your proposition.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you, Chair. And then, following that very same approach to all the concerns, I'm going to put it broad. Where in this affidavit do you find any grounds that can potentially get anywhere close to section 27B? And I put it that way because I'm talking to a lawyer of 30 years experience who appreciates that when a statute prescribes what jurisdictional factors must exist before certain outcomes are achieved, you would understand that they have to be satisfied independently of one another. It's first A, the suspicion, B, the grounds. Where in this affidavit do you find the grounds that would satisfy the requirements of section 27B?
I have referred to those grounds and say that having heard what the chair has indicated, there's nothing more than just what he said here. It is a matter of, he says, this is what I have, information and documentation. I think the question, and sorry, commissioners, I don't mean to be asking you all a question, but what I'm trying to pose for myself is, the question then is that sufficient for B?
Was there a sufficient factual substratum to satisfy B of section 27? That's the question. And I think in response to my question, you've accepted that there was none.
In terms of the factual basis of
Yes,
it is.
the factual basis that undergirds or supports the factual conclusion.
Correct,
You've accepted that there was none.
yes.
Do you then accept on that basis, because my and your engagement has started on the basis of the first suspicion,
Yes,
which is state capture, would you accept that there is no factual basis advanced in this affidavit in respect of all the suspicions as you have identified them? Would that be correct?
that would be correct, except he says so of
His conclusions?
his conclusions of, I have information, and I receive information, and I also had information. It is
Now-
on that basis, yes.
If that's where we land, would such an affidavit comply with the requirements of Section 27? And what would be the consequences of non-compliance?
So given the questions that were posed by the chair, it was, I had not looked at it.
And not only the questions and the responses.
Yes, so on the basis thereof, commissioners, I've applied my mind differently. The commission has pointed something out quite differently that ought to have been considered. I'm saying in the manner in which I applied my mind at the time, based on how I understood Section B, or what Section B to mean, at the time, yes. I agreed that it fulfilled that requirement because he had knowledge. He had grounds on which it was based. I've given the answer, Commissioner.